Hey, and we're live. So, breaking news, Trump accepts phones, computers, chips on all from the new tariffs. We still haven't heard what China is going to do, but this was announced a little more than 12 hours ago. So, maybe that trade war is slowing down. At least we'll have to wait and see. Still a lot of uncertainty in the markets, but a lot of crypto has been picking up. I saw this. I thought it was interesting. Suzu is doing a super cycle stream. So if you remember from the previous cycle in 2021, 2022, he went broke. Well, his fund went broke by longing the super cycle, believing that crypto would pump. I mean, it could. Still kind of unpredictable. The markets are still, uncertain. And when there's uncertainty, a lot of people don't have money to invest. They just want to wait and see what happens. But welcome to today's stream. I'm going to try streaming more and treating content creation like a job, just showing up every day, hanging out, and trying to build this up. So if you want to support the channel, feel free to engage with it. And we're going to go over some things today by request from Gabby. We're going to go over some of my travel hacking strategies that I mentioned in the Coinsider live stream the other day, and some SUI DeFi via Walrus. So that is what we have on the agenda for today's stream. Hello, Chinjin, welcome. And that's what we'll go over. So we'll start with some of the travel stuff because that's easy. I've been doing this travel hacking. I know that's kind of a lame term, but that's what it's kind of called within the travel community for people who optimize their travel strategies, which also doesn't sound great. But basically, you look for your full value, as that's what this channel is and how it kind of started. So if you look at some of my older videos, it's that type of content where I am just trying to get my full value when I do things. So today's video will cover that, and we'll start off with that slowly. Now, I think travel is one of the coolest things you can do if you can afford it. A lot of people can't, including myself in my earlier stages of life. So I wanted to find ways to travel and do that on a budget. So if you are going to start traveling, I recommend looking for the best resources. So we're going to go over some of that. So if you're looking for travel deals and stuff, and you're kind of by a main international airport, you're going to find a lot of deals on Secret Flying where you can sort by city. So I'm just going to use LAX because that's a big international hub. And if you don't put you could leave the other one to anywhere, or let's say Los Angeles, it doesn't take the airport. And we'll see like what kind of deals come from that. So nonstop Los Angeles to Madrid, Spain, 451 round trip. Amsterdam, 397. And you have to look at the dates to see if these are still recent, because if it's a month old, that deal is probably gone. Now, these are great deals because Los Angeles is a huge international hub. If you're looking from a smaller hub, it's going to be tough. It's tougher. So you kind of want to position yourself to these like larger airports. There's also the flight deal, which does something very similar, but it's more of a blog, and you can't really search by airport or city. So that's essentially what you do for flight deals. That's just the super basic level. If you just, are thinking of travel and want to go somewhere, but you don't know where. So that's great for inspiration because, maybe you're not thinking about going to London or Italy or Sao Paulo, but if it's less than 500 US dollars, well, that might be something to consider. Take a break. I just woke up. How's everyone doing today? That's me stalling for time while I drink. Now I also have this KuCoin cup, pretty generic. You kind of get this stuff at like crypto conventions. I got this at Token 2049 Singapore a year and a half ago, and I like it because it is a water bottle, but it's very insulated, so I use it for just like drinking cold water. All right, so we're gonna get into some of the crypto stuff later. I don't know if Gabby is here yet, but hey, man, you gotta scroll back in this video. So we went over the flight deal. And another strategy, that I personally use is buying frequent flyer miles. So it depends on where you want to go, and you have to find out which airlines service that. And to do that, you want to go to something like Google Flights. So I actually love living in Taiwan because there's three major airports here. So it makes it easy to go to a lot of different places. And let's say you want to go from, I don't know, gonna pick New York City to, let's say, Dubai. We're going to Dubai for token 2049. So it gets a little more complicated, but we want to see who can actually fly there. So we'll just say we're going next week. We're going to search for this, and then it'll show us all the airlines that will take us on that route. So you're looking at Saudia, Qatar Airways, Emirates, Egypt Air, United, Delta. Ooh, that one gets pretty long. And then you want to look for the deals within those airlines. So sometimes you can buy miles, sometimes you can't, and you kind of have to gauge out your value on that. I was actually thinking of building out an AI agent to do this. I built a custom chat GPT. So it just kind of looks for all the airline deals, looks for the frequent flyer miles, considers the tax and routes. But unfortunately, you can't really share that unless you already have an OpenAI account. And it's not like super involved, but I think that might be an interesting service. I know there's other things like Book Protocol trying to build stuff out. They're still in the early stages. I'm an early investor in this. I don't know if they've shifted. I got to talk to them. I'll see if they're at token 2049. But yeah, they want to build like these AI agents that create personalized travel experiences. And as creators that have these different routes and ideas, you could probably just book their type of travel. So I would love that just because it would make things a lot easier. Now, another strategy I use is buying frequent flyer miles. So as I mentioned, I live in Taiwan, and they have three major airlines. That's Starlux, China Airlines, and EVA. Starlux is the new airline, and they are partnered with Alaska Air. So I try to buy frequent flyer miles from them when I can. Let me just log in. I'm gonna hide that because you can buy frequent flyer miles on sale for maybe like 1.5 cents, something like that. And you can fly in business class for 75,000 miles. So you can do that, and I actually outlined that in another video on my travel vlog channel that I don't really promote and I don't plan to do too much on. But I guess when crypto is boring, that's when I'm going to post there. So here, full vlog, Dan, 14 hours in Starlux business class. Basically, it's an amazing airline. It's brand new. I share the experience, and I think I talk about how I booked it. So it's basically me buying miles when it's on sale. 50% is pretty decent. It can go up to 60% at the highest. So you do get some value there. And let's say you want to book Starlux business class. That's 75,000 miles. So that's going to run you, let's do some quick math here, 1375 with this bonus. So with the 60% bonus, it will get a little cheaper to like 1,200 and change. But yeah, you can buy frequent flyer miles, and that makes it cheaper than business class. For economy, it's probably just a little bit cheaper, but booking with miles is amazing because you have flexibility. You know, you have free cancellation, and you can book from any airport, so you don't have the restriction of like having to fly from a major airline, a major international airport. You can fly from a smaller airline, a smaller domestic airport that is serviced by potentially Alaska or one of their partners. So I did that in this video where I flew from a small airport in Burbank, connected in San Francisco, the international airport, and then flew to Taiwan. So that's the basics of like airline travel, but you can also do something similar with hotel points. You can buy hotel points for the major chains. that is one way to do it. Otherwise, I use Agoda, and using Agoda last minute is great because they drop their commission. So it depends on how much flexibility you want, how much comfort you want, and that'll change the pricing on your flights. So we're gonna buy some Hilton points, and then we want to see what that looks like. So if you can buy Hilton points, the cool thing is you kind of know what you can expect with the Hilton. It's definitely a little more premium, comfortable rooms. But the cool thing is, you know, when you book with points, it's kind of a flat rate. So I booked a hotel for Token 2049 in Singapore later this year. I booked it with points. If you look at the price per night versus the points price, points is a lot cheaper just because it's near F1, prices go up, and it's going to get expensive. Now, when you book with points, sometimes there's additional deals. Hilton, you get the 5th night free if you book with points. So obviously I booked 5 nights just because I'm going to take advantage of that free night. And again, with Agoda, if you are going to book, last minute is amazing because they drop their commission. So you can get additional 15 to maybe even 25% off a hotel if it's unsold. So that is my travel strategies. If you guys have other questions, I know this was kind of a off-topic, off-brand for this channel, but we had a request, so I thought I'd cover that. That kind of covers the essential basics. Then we have Doctor of Credit, where if you just want to get full value on random stuff, on like, you know, different deals, this is great for different credit card offers, different bond yields. I think that's not great though. New I bonds estimated at 4% fixed. I honestly, in this situation, I would just use Coinbase and hold USDC there for 4%. Or what I learned yesterday is on Jupiter, the DeFi platform on Solana, you get like 41% right now. So just things to consider. Let's see. All right, so we got some comments. Oh, here we go. SUI 01 just sold off. So I don't know if that means they closed purchasing those. I think there was a pretty good tweet by Trevin NFT on Twitter about his how much he made from airdrops, or how much everyone made from airdrops on the SUI play. So let's check that out. Here we are. He has 8 SUI plays. As the NFTs, I only got 2. I'm probably going to use both of them because when I travel with my wife, she takes the Nintendo Switch. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll get 2. So I'm not bored. So let's see. He does post a lot. All right, I'm trying to find the SUI play post with his earnings. Let's see. Because if you owned a SUI play early and, you know, generated that address, there's been quite a few airdrops. The retail price was about $550, whereas the airdrops right now have accrued to like $250. And in this market, so that's actually really good. So let's look up airdrop. I know he posted it the other day, but I lost it. So looks like we're not gonna see it, but I guess you just got to take my word for it. SUI play 20. The SUI play gets you some airdrops, so that's pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to that. I think if we are going to have user adoption, that's going to happen through bringing in people through a more organic way, and I think that's what's going to happen with the SUI play, just because it's a handheld device and it will make the experience seamless for crypto users. That is just something I'm considering. But that's about it. We can get into some sweet DeFi and some other news, but I'm talking too fast and that's making me tired. So we gotta slow this. We gotta slow this down, guys. All right, I didn't really prepare anything else. I probably should have prepared a guest. We're gonna have more guests this week, or more live streams. So Monday, I'm chatting with Sid from VRAM. We're going to walk around Taipei main station, talk about what he's building in the SUI ecosystem space. He started his SUI developer journey in December with the VRAM project. I think he's been a developer for a while, and he built out his team. So we'll see how he's doing, how he's planning to grow. And I think it's really interesting to get the insights directly from these new builders who don't have the VC funding to see what are they going to do to survive, to be competitive, what are they building for the users. And some other projects that are a little more established later this week will be live streaming from Eddie's channel, will be at his restaurant in Tianmu, Taiwan. So it's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that. So let's see. We got this. What's the best exchange to trade futures that doesn't require KYC? All right. Well, I got 3 of them that I use because they don't all have the same coins. So, let's say we want, not signed in right now, but I'm using 3 of them. So I'm using Mexi, Blowfin, and Weeks. So they're going to have slightly different experiences. Let's say if you're in the SUI ecosystem and you want to trade SUI Lens Send token, that isn't available on most exchanges. So it is available on Weeks. So I would probably go here if I was going to long or short. And, to find out how that works, you want to go to something like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. And then we are here. We're going to look for the Send token, for example, just because it is still a newer coin that isn't on a lot of exchanges. Well, actually, it is on a lot of exchanges. But if you want to long or short or use leverage, you're looking at perpetuals or futures. So on perpetuals, you can see which markets it's listed on, and it's listed on actually all 3 of these no KYC exchanges, Mexi, Blowfin, and Weeks. You definitely have KYC with Bybit, Gate.io. I think that's no KYC. I'm not familiar with WooX, but you got a little thing here. Reserve data unavailable, reserve data unavailable. And whenever you see that symbol, it just means you don't know if that exchange has the reserves. If they potentially get hacked, then all user funds will just be gone. Funds will be frozen, withdrawals frozen, and you won't have the best experience. Now, I can never guarantee anyone after like the FTX collapse that an exchange won't lose all your money or most of your money in some cases, but that's why you kind of have to be nimble. If there's bad news like the Bybit hack where the hackers took like $1.4 billion, I would have withdrawn and just waited it out just to see if they were sustainable. The cool thing is they let everyone withdraw. They did not hold back any withdrawals. They borrowed funds from other exchanges to support that. A lot of people did withdraw. It's been a few months, so we finally come to the terms. They survived. They made it, and that's because these crypto exchanges make a lot of money. They take a small cut of every trade you make, and that's incredibly profitable. It is the most profitable business in crypto, aside from Pump Fund and their meme coins. And I think another very profitable business in crypto are stable coins, which is why you have a lot of people trying to copy the Tether business model. Now, Tether makes billions in stablecoin interest revenue themselves. So that's why you have other stablecoins entering the space. And the newest one, USD1, from the Trump administration or affiliates, something like that. So that is just something to consider. And if you do want to use any one of these exchanges, I do have referral links. It does support this channel and it does give you your full value. But I honestly don't know what all those rewards work. I know randomly if I am trading futures, I get like this bonus that just shows up in my account. And if you don't use it, it's gone. But they'll give you like, if you are trading something like this which says your first future trading greater or equal to 5,000 USDT. So let's say you have $1,000 and you make like 4 buys, 1 sell or something of that. I don't know. But basically it's the trading volume. They'll give you like 50 USDT in your account that you can claim within a week or something like that. And then you just have to use that to invest. So that's a pretty sweet deal. Yeah, that's kind of how those deals work. And then they give you other stuff, more tasks for more bonuses. But I'm not signed in right now, and that'll take a while because I have 2-factor on all of my accounts. And you should too, because it's dangerous to not have that. A lot of wall on hand down. How to utilize it. All right, so let's jump into the SUI ecosystem. I'm going to go into my SUI test account. Now, there's a few things you could do, and we're going to bring those up. So now we're jumping into SUI DeFi. Now, Winter Walrus is a liquid staking platform. Basically, you trade your Walrus for WWAL, which is Winter Walrus, and that gives you the ability to have staked Walrus while being able to move your funds around. So that is one thing you could do. Otherwise, you could stake Walrus. Let me go to my other account to get the official address. You know, if you don't know the address of something in crypto, it's very dangerous. It is very dangerous. There's so many scam sites out there. You want to do something like going to AI, either Grok or Gemini, and searching for it. So let's say we don't know the Walrus staking site, Walrus staking website. Let's do that. And then it should guide you on the right journey. It is searching for things. That, I believe, is the right website because I copied it earlier, and that's what we're going to go to. Oh. Excuse this. So here we are at Walrus staking. Now, there are different validators or nodes, so different storage nodes. I feel like I should have got in on this. I saw it, but I think the startup cost was pretty high. It was like either spend 10 grand or self-host, which is kind of a liability if you're traveling and something goes down and you can't support it, or you pay for a storage provider to handle it, which has its monthly cost. So it depends if you're long-term. But I missed that opportunity because all of these make a cut. So if you have your Walrus and you want to stake it to one of these nodes, you will get some interest. The interest rate is pretty much the same, but the difference is, we're going to, connect our wallet here. The burner account. And we're going to stake something. So if we're going to stake to Typus, you can see that you get they take a 60% commission, which is pretty high. I'm actually staking to Mistin Labs 1. You can see Mistin Lab also 60%. Oh, I thought it was lower. So I guess, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Apparently, it's the same rate for everyone. All right, or maybe it went up because when it first launched, I saw commission 0, but now the commission seems to be 60% for everyone. I think if you go with Ika, there might be an airdrop. I just saw chatter about that on Twitter. And then sometimes there's different bonuses. It can range. So I haven't followed up too much and I haven't had much confirmation of which one. But for the most part, I'm staking to Mistin Labs just so I don't have to think about it. And then like a little bit in a couple other platforms like Sweeland. I don't know if that's going to get me anything. We'll see. But that's what you can pretty much do with your Walrus. Now, there's another thing you can do, and you can go to the actual Walrus ecosystem. Let me see if we can find it. Walrus XYZ is the website. So here we are. We're going to use our Walrus through their apps and services. And then this is the project directory ecosystem of Walrus projects. So let that load up for a moment. And there's 130, so there are a lot. So we got Deep Trade. It's a community-driven DEX and open source. SUI, Sea Lion, combined staking and fun games. Seal. There's a lot of stuff here that I did not know about. I haven't seen this in a couple months. Last time I checked, it was still in testnet. So yeah, there's a lot of things actually developing here. Beluga, subscribe to the Beluga Brief for daily insights and alerts on the best token launches and crypto projects. Walrus, Grafana tools, a collection of Grafana tools for the Walrus ecosystem monitoring. Yeah, so I guess you can use Walrus in all these different platforms. There's quite a few, so I actually like a top list of developers here just to see like what's worth getting into. Because when I checked when it was testnet, a lot of things were still very, very early. Sweet Talk, a decentralized platform for video creators. That sounds interesting. Let's check that out. Not up. It's not up. So that's why I did not dive too deep in the Walrus ecosystem. A lot of things still in its early stages. So there we go. That's a lot. I don't know what you mean by that, because that would be wealthy. That's some wealth there. Oh, that is weird. Yeah, I would contact official support to find out what happened. But, you know, actually Mexi is starting to grow their reputation. So I think they're moving up from, even though they're a no KYC exchange, from like used to be tier 3, they're definitely in the tier 2 stage. They have a lot of money to throw around from what I've seen at crypto conventions, where at Consensus they had this massive booth. They were giving away a bunch of merch. So yeah, Mexi is doing pretty well for themselves, and that's why they can have like a lot of these coins. They can have a little more liquidity than others, and they still take on the risk of a no KYC exchange. And again, no KYC doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It just means a slightly safer experience. I mentioned it yesterday in the stream that, you know, some of these platforms where you do KYC or provide information to, even Ledger, Coinbase, Kraken, if they have a data leak, you're at risk. You're physically at risk because hackers can find out how much you have and where you live. So that is kind of awful and terrifying. And there have been some alleged data breaches from Coinbase, but that is very believable just because we saw some of the $100 million Bitcoin hacks from some of the Coinbase Bitcoin holders, the OGs, and even more. So that's been reported by ZachXBT, a very credible source. Give us some good news, Dan. It can't be bad, can it? Well, actually, there was some good news with Trump making exemptions on some of the tariffs, like electronics, chips, more and more. So we'll see. It's getting better. He paused the tariffs for 90 days. So you can't have like a solid pump because we don't know if there's more tariffs going to those other countries. So there's a 90-day pause. There's an exemption for all the major electronic components in the US, at least for now. But China still has the 140% or 125% tariff on US goods. Now, China has been wanting to appear very strong, so I don't think they're going to take that down unless the US does something to, you know, make up for that, where they actually have to be a little respectful in how they deal with things instead of just yelling China is all the problem for everything in your life, because that is kind of the classic playbook in politics. You blame the foreigners. That's the cause of all your troubles, instead of the companies outsourcing to those foreigners for cheaper quality goods, and sometimes even terrible goods, you know, where it is cheap intentionally because that's how much they want to keep the factory prices from. Now, I'm on TikTok and I love using it just because it shows me some of the most interesting videos that I wouldn't think I'm interested in, you know? And I got into Chinese manufacturer TikTok in the last few days where they're revealing how much things cost. Where they went into how the Birkin bags, they're like $38,000, but for them to manufacture with the labor costs with their goods, it's the actual factory that creates it. It costs them about $1,400 to manufacture with all costs included. So people are paying like $36,000 just for the Birkin name, and then these factories in China are telling you how to order. So if you were going to buy a Birkin bag or actually have the money to do that, it would make more sense to take a luxury vacation to China to buy those goods and then come back. And then you wouldn't have to pay any tariffs on that or any duties if it's all for personal goods. And I think China also increased their visa policy for U.S. citizens, where if you're a U.S. citizen, you get 280 hours in China just for shopping, visa-free. I can't really confirm, but that's the situation. And I do like a good value, so that is something to consider if you were going to buy something. Hopefully, they break their contracts with iPhone and with Apple, so people can buy iPhones on the cheap in China. And I feel like they would do that if a lot of the business relationships are lost. So we'll see what happens there. Sir, what about Korea Finance KDX? Yeah, let's take a look. So I have used it before, and I was staking some stuff, but I haven't been following because user experience is okay on Korea. So let's see, what are we looking for? Did they do their airdrop? Did I miss it? Congrats, you've claimed 1,000. All right. Where am I here? I don't know. I've got to look into this. So I had some of the airdrop. I thought it was okay. A lot of these stake to earn airdrops are okay. Sometimes I've kind of noticed you make like 10%. So I think there isn't much of an opportunity, but if you were going to stake and, hold liquidity and earn that way, not too bad. So you could earn right now 405% APY if you are, trading at the thinnest range for deep in SUI, which is pretty good. But you want that full range, you want that lower risk, and realistically, you probably want to get as much unless the trading volume really picks up on SUI. And I think the trading volume has been down recently just because of all the uncertainty in the markets. Joepad, welcome. Glad you could make it. Joepad has been one of the biggest supporters of this channel. Always good to see him in the comments. Daniel, I'm just getting started on SUI and a total noob. Which DeFi platform would you recommend to start out on? All right, that's a good question. So it depends on what you want to do in DeFi. There's like two major things. It's either lending or trading. So, these are LP pools, liquidity provider pools. So think of it as an actual pool where you put two different funds in. You could put in deep and SUI. You could put in NB ETH and USDC, SUI and USDC. So these are the different pairs in that pool. And if people want to use that pool where, let's say they have some USDC and want to trade that from SUI, they're going to reach into the pool and trade for it. So these liquidity pools allow that to happen. And you can see these different fees that people are earning. So you can see that the trading fees for SUI USDC is 0.3%. We can see how much money people have provided into this pool and the current APY that they're making. Now, this APY can change over time just because it depends on the trading volume. We don't know how much people are trading in the future, but over the past week or 24 hours, we can safely assume that it's been 20% in kind of the roughest of times. So by providing that, you do earn, but you do take on some risk. So let's say you were holding SUI and USDC. That's kind of how much you're going to get if the price stays the same. where SUI stays at its current price and USDC $1, obviously. But if SUI goes up or down, then you can take on some losses due to those changes. Now, it is a little better than holding any type of coin just because you have less volatility. So let's say you're holding SUI and it goes up 100%, you do well. It goes down 50%, you do bad. But if you're in a liquidity pool and SUI goes up by 100%, well, your pool of assets will only go up by, let's say, 50%. So you don't have as much to gain, but that's because it has to keep the amount that you have in the pool balanced, which means it's going to sell some of your SUI to add more USDC into that pool. Whereas if the price drops 50%, you would probably just take a 25% loss. So if you think that there isn't going to be too much volatility, that there is a lot of trading volume, then being an LP pool is better for you. So that is one way. Liquidity pools, I think, are great in boring markets. If we're in a bull market, you want to be holding. So we'll have to see if it actually turns into a bull market. But for myself, I like SUI Land. There's a few different platforms on SUI. I know I'm shilling SUI Land. There's no referral or anything. I just think the experience is very clean compared to something like Scallop. I know I'm going to Token 2049. Scallops, if I see them there, they're going to be like, "What the fuck, Dan?" What? But if you have a good user experience, I'm going to support that. Now, this is a lot. This might seem like a lot, so we're just going to hide some things. So rewards, account overview, and we'll just keep open deposited and wallet balances. So if we kind of just ignore everything on the right, it just makes it a little easier to focus. And maybe you can't see because they added some stuff, but we can scroll to the right a little bit and we can see the different earning rates. So we can sort by how much we want to earn if we want to do it that way, where you can see if you deposit any of these assets, you earn interest on it. If you borrow any of these assets, that's what you're going to pay in interest. So the strategy here would be, let's say you're bullish on SUI long term, you would deposit your SUI, you would get 3% in interest, you would get some of those rewards in SUI. So you can see if you look really closely, I know I can't, well, actually I can zoom, let's see. So if you are going to hold SUI, it shows you what kind of interest you're going to earn. It's going to be in SEN points and SUI actual interest in the SUI token and rewards in SUI. Now, there are a few different SUI products here. So we have SUI earning at 3%, but you could earn even more with Spring SUI, which is the same price as SUI. So it's already liquid staked SUI. You earn higher interest because they have more rewards for it. And then they have ecosystem LSTs. I know that's going to sound confusing, but these are also things like SUI. These are liquid staked SUI through different brands. So Spring SUI is one of the brands for SUI Land and their ecosystem. K-SUI is from Korea. I-SUI is through Ika. M-SUI, I'm not familiar with. FUD-SUI is through the meme coin. Trevin SUI is through one of the creators. Up-SUI, I don't know what that one is. But yeah, they actually can make quite a bit of money providing interest and tokens to their users. So the interest rates are going to be different. You can see Trevin SUI, you're earning interest in lo-fi rewards, which is pretty neat. So that's why the interest is higher, but obviously that could be a little more volatile. We don't know what could happen. Otherwise, maybe you just want to have interest in actual SUI. So you do have quite a few options. It can seem overwhelming at first, but you just have to look at what assets do you want to earn interest on. So those get you your deposit APRs, what assets you want to borrow. For me, I'm doing a little bit of leverage so you can earn more points. But basically, when you provide to this platform, you earn rewards. This is just my burner account, just so it makes it easy to show you everything, and we can test things out. But for me, I'm staking SUI and I'm borrowing SUI USDT to buy more SUI to earn with. So I'm kind of like leveraging myself at 1.2x. Nothing more than that, because you don't want to get really liquidated. I'm not trying to take on too much risk. If the markets get bullish and everyone starts dumping money into the markets, I will borrow more money to buy more SUI from this platform to take on that upside potential. So it really depends on the market conditions. Right now, want to be a little conservative. Did you mean TD? I'm not sure. Let's get back to that. Let's clarify. I want to find out what you mean, and we'll go over that. Any news on silent hat lenders that you should know about? I don't know. I honestly don't know what that is. Oh, Sweetland. Okay. Is there any news on Sweetland holders that we should know about? I don't think so. I think, the price has been terrible. But from what I heard, that they're still building out an ecosystem, they're going to drive demand to it. Still very, very speculative. I'm holding some Sweetland, and it's been terrible since the claim that you could get the Sweetland token for like 50 cents, and now it's at like 36 or something. I don't know. But with SUI Basecamp coming up, I think a lot of the SUI ecosystem could pump. This is just obviously speculation. I don't know if it will. But when we have SUI Basecamp, they have a lot of big announcements. They have a lot of hype, and that's when the markets move. So that is something I'm looking at. And if I'm at the event and I hear some crazy news, I'm probably going to set up some leverage longs to take on some of that hype, then take some profit. So that is the strategy I want to use, and that's what I'm currently considering. Let's see. Can you explain the difference between staking, liquid staking, farming, and liquidity pools? Yeah, that is a good question, and we can do that. So let's see. This would essentially be staking. Yeah. So it's kind of a lending pool, but essentially you are I wouldn't say free staking. So there's so many different terms in crypto. It's gonna sound confusing. So Sweetland is a form of lending on SUI, okay, Sweetland, and it's also a form of staking without any lockup times. So anytime you stake, you earn interest on something, and that's kind of how it works. So we're going to get into it in a second. So if we want to lend out our SUI and earn interest on it, we're earning, let's say, 4.6% if we're using SUI. That is a liquid stake SUI. There are a little more incentives because it is through a platform on SUI. Now, when you have liquid staked tokens that represent a token, that can be risky. They can, depeg, and that's very risky on other ecosystems. You have ETH, you have wrapped ETH, you have EtherFi ETH, that's EETH. You have a lot of different variations of Ethereum. Now, if any of them get hacked or the pricing depegs, you're not going to have one-to-one plus whatever you staked in interest. So that can be dangerous. Now, SUI does implement something different with their liquid staking SUI products, and that makes sure that it always stays pegged and you do have that interest. So liquid staking on SUI is a little bit better. I know I can't articulate it as well because when they talked about it, I was like, yeah, that's great, but it was also kind of boring. So I kind of glossed over it. But I was like, all right. So essentially, it broke down to it's a safer version of liquid staking. So SUI can always be redeemed for SUI at the highest rate possible on Sweetland. Now, there are some other providers or other aggregators like 7KAG. I noticed that they don't have the same liquidity that Sweetland has. So if I'm trading SUI to SUI, so the liquid staked SUI to SUI, I want to do that on Sweetland because I'm going to get a better rate. So sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. So let's say we have 100 SUI, that's 100.107. If we're on a DEX aggregator on SUI, so let's see, SUI 100.0170, 01705. Okay, it's the same thing. So when I was using this early on, let's bring it up. Let's 1016. No, it's exactly the same. Okay, so when SUI launched, that was kind of the issue I noticed, and they resolved it. They got better liquidity now. So I guess you don't really have to worry about that. You can swap wherever you like, and things changed, things updated. So more on lending and liquid staking. So liquid staking just means that you are staked and you're liquid. So that means your tokens are not locked up. Now with liquid staking, you get a token that represents your staked coin. So in the sense that we want to stake SUI and earn interest for it, we can just hold SUI, and that represents that we have staked SUI, and that's the SUI token. So when we hold SUI, we're holding staked SUI, and this is through Spring, another platform that doesn't necessarily mean stake SUI. If we are going to stake the SUI coin, you can do that directly in the wallet. So we're going to go into the wallet, we're going to go to earn, and we want to go into staking. Start native staking on SUI. Lock assets on SUI while you earn. Now, the thing about staking natively on a blockchain is you don't start earning immediately. You start earning after every epoch, which I think is like 1 or 2 days on SUI, and then you have to unlock those tokens too. And if you unlock too early, you won't get the interest for the day. But essentially, liquid staking solves that. Liquid staking makes sure you earn all the time. It gives you these pool of assets, and it is a lot more flexible. So let's say we want to start native staking our SUI on the SUI blockchain. You can see all the different validators. We're looking for the highest interest we can get, and that is 2.9% with Mistin Labs, where it can be much lower with some of the other validators because they're taking a cut. So you're not going to get your full value there. But the most you can get for staking directly onto the SUI blockchain is 2.94% through the Mistin 1 validator. Mistin 2 is a little lower, so I think it depends on how much value is locked there. Whereas if you just lend SUI to SUI Lend, you get the interest 1.46%, and we kind of saw that was the rate, but you also get rewards in SUI. So that's the thing though. Even though you are getting more interest through using liquid staking, you do take on more risk. So let's say they get hacked, the interface is overtaken by a hacker, and it just connects your wallet to the hacker every time you go to the website, and then they drain your funds. Not necessarily possible with SUI. You can only transfer your funds. So whenever you confirm a transaction, it's going to show what's happening there, and you want to make sure all the trades are on the up and up. Now, when you make a transaction on SUI, it's actually really clear of what's happening, so you want to read that if possible. But again, staking on the blockchain is always going to be much safer than having to stake through a website, through using a liquid staking protocol. You take on a little more risk for a little more reward. So it's up to you. I don't have a lot to lose, so I'm going for maximum earnings, and I'm using Spring SUI. I'm going for the highest APRs that are safely available on the platform. So that is the difference between staking and liquid staking. Any native staking to a blockchain, SUI, Ethereum, Polygon, pretty much any platform, if you are staking directly with a validator, 100% safe. Or the safest you can get. That's the safest you can get on a platform. If you're doing liquid staking, you take on a little more risk because now you're relying on a third party to manage those assets, to make things happen, and that can't really happen, fully autonomously. There is some management there. And then let's see, we have farming. All right, so farming is another way for you to earn interest. That's just basically you adding liquidity to a pool and getting rewards for it. So let's see, I think that's not what we're looking for. Let me see an example. I'm gonna bring up a Berachain because there's a lot of farms over there right now. Oh, I forgot to hit go live on another platform. So we're here, we're chatting. So I'm going to find the Berachain ecosystem, and we are going to look at one of their farms. So give me a moment, and we're going to do a little bit of DeFi. Here we go. We found something. Oh, too much happening here. Yep, got to keep talking while I load up these other websites, and I'm researching other crypto sites to bring up right now. So we're going to look up some yield farms on Berachain just because the founder Smokey actually mentioned that there were some high interest rates that people were farming. So farming just means you're earning yield, and that is essentially what we were doing on Korea Finance. So let's take a look at that example. All right, so infrared finance, essentially you can call these farms, and when you're farming, you're providing liquidity to a platform. Now, it does get dangerous. I have been burned so many times on these high yield farms that I don't even care to look at them just because they can dump so quickly. They can have these weird lockups where you just lose money and you want to look into it and dive in a little bit before you make any serious investment. So here on infrared, we can see that the highest interest rate is through the BIX BT and wrapped Bera pair. You're getting 984% APR, and most of that is definitely going to come through some other token. So let's see. You're going to stake and you're going to get rewards in another token. So that's essentially how farms work. So you put in BIX BT, I don't know what that is, and Bera, wrapped Bera. So that is the wrapped version of their native asset. And you put in those two assets, you're going to get the IBGT token. So this is a way of farming, and it could be low risk just because if you believe in those two assets and you facilitate trading by putting in this liquidity pool, you would earn interest in this other token, IBGT. Now, the reason why these farms start up is just because they want to kickstart liquidity. They want people to trade there. They want people to earn there. So that helps kickstart the IBGT token. So that's kind of how these farms work. You earn high interest and you get another token as a reward, but you also take on the risk if you are, let's say, the IBGT Bera token. If you're in a pair like that, that sounds dangerous. I would not be in that just because you're printing so much of this token. There's going to be so much sell pressure, and then your liquidity pool balance just continues to go to zero. So farming is a little bit dangerous if you don't have a lot of experience. And yeah, I wouldn't chase too many high yields unless you are comfortable with the assets that are there. So let's say Ohm Honey. I'm not familiar with both of these actually, so I don't know if those rewards are worth it. Then you have other things like this, where you have compounding vaults, love handle. Actually, the rates aren't too high. So farming is essentially liquidity pools where you are putting liquidity to farm a token. So they're all kind of very similar, but also slightly different. And I think that covers DeFi. I think we just covered all of DeFi. I'll probably cut that up into a video because, like, yeah, I think that was pretty good. All right. So let's see. Cami got a 3K wall airdrop. Congratulations. I hope you watch the channel to get some of that airdrop and potentially more in the future. And we'll cover some of the newest projects in SUI very soon. Monday, interview with VRAM, Sid from VRAM. He's French and he lives in Taiwan, which is fascinating. I'm, Asian American, and I live in Taiwan too. So we're going to walk around, do a live stream, chat. So you think Sweetland would be good for a beginner as opposed to Aftermath? Yeah. I think it's easier because it's all on one page. Everything is very clear. Um, I think I have a tutorial video on it too on this channel, so check that out. I like everything on one page. I know, let's say Scallop, they use all these other different tabs, and I tried showing it to someone, and they were like, "I can't do this." Like, so you have to look for the best user experience. If you get comfortable with that, there are actually higher yields on Aftermath and Scalp for some things, just because each of these different ecosystems might be allotted a certain amount of rewards from Deep, Walrus, SUI name service. And if everyone is on SUI, everyone has to share that same pool of rewards, and that pool could be higher on the other platform. So even more Turbos, Aftermath, Scallop. That's kind of what happened when the Walrus token launched. For the first week or two, there were extremely high rewards, and you kind of had to look for the platform that would hook you up the most. So yeah, send. So send points. Send points get you the send token at the end of their airdrop campaign. So you're earning these send tokens at the end of each quarter or half year. I don't know exactly when they do it, but these are just additional points you get for staking or lending, borrowing to the SUI platform. You do get something similar with other platforms, but I think for users and user experience, it makes a lot of sense. Everything is clear, and not everything is hidden in like other pages. What does it mean with 60 commission? What does it mean 60% commission? So the commission rate was the same for everything, but basically, let's say you earn 10% in interest a year on a validator. If the commission is 60%, you earn 4%. So, how much of that commission are they taking a cut of? So you always want to look for the lowest commission. But again, I've seen some things with validators where if you don't trust a validator, they'll have a very low commission. And then maybe at the next epoch or update, just say update, they'll increase their commission to 100% and screw you. So, it's easier to go with a trusted validator that is a brand name that isn't going to risk their name to screw you. So that's why it's easier to go with things that I recognize with any of the major platforms like Miston Labs, that is the team behind the SUI ecosystem, with any of the big brands like Typus, SUIland, Ika, any of those. They're not going to try and pull tricks on you. So that's why I look for a recognized brand when I'm going to a validator, even if the commission might be a little higher, but you want to go for what's a brand name, and among those, what's the lowest? Ooh, what's your views on recent AVAX pre-sales? So I don't like pre-sales, and I know this is gonna come back to bite me because I'm interviewing a lot of new projects that will very likely have pre-sales. But generally, they're good and bad, where it does pose an opportunity, but you also have to trust the team. Is that team going to deliver? How long of a lockup is there going to be? Is there going to be a lockup? Will that team just try to exit as fast as possible? How sustainable is the project going to be? Do you think they're going to have a pre-sale and dump all their tokens as soon as it goes live? That's happened before. Some people continue to build, but just pre-sales in general, I think, are very risky. And, again, I'm doing this VRAM interview. I participated in their pre-sale just because I met the guy. He lives in Taiwan. Things happen. I'm here. So it depends on, I'm not going to go all in on something like that, but I am going to gauge how much risk I want to take, because pre-sales are definitely an opportunity, but there's so many scams out there that it's not really an opportunity anymore. Pre-sales are essentially the new version of the ICO, where you buy the token at the startup price, but you don't know how well it's going to do, just because it's really hard to develop a crypto project. The hardest thing for these crypto projects to do is get developers and get quality developers. And you want to find out who are their developers. Are they all in-house? Are some remote? Did they meet those people though? Because a lot turn out to be North Korean hackers and then goes to zero. So that happened with a project recently called I forgot, but they did like crypto debit cards recently, and I interviewed them at Consensus, and the next day went to zero. I think I have a short on it, but yeah, you have to be very careful with those. Definitely an opportunity because maybe they're not raising VC money, they're raising community money, but do they know how to build out a project? That's one of the hardest things. Can they create these structures to be effective with the money they have? Favor recently went out of business because they burned too much money. They did not have enough runway, and they raised money from like pre-sales and KOLs and VCs, a little bit from everywhere, and then wasted too much. So, opportunity, but a lot of risk. I wanted to take on too much. Gabby, I think you missed the beginning of the stream because we talked pretty deep about travel hacking. So go back there. We can do more questions in the future. I'll use those for clips from my other channel on the travel stuff. But yeah, I actually went to Japan recently. I got a decent deal on a cruise. So I took a cruise from Taiwan to Tokyo. That was $650 for 3 nights. It was really 4, but we got off the boat a little early at Tokyo. For some reason, you could stay the 4th night, but have to leave at 7 a.m. Like, no, we're here Tokyo at night. We'll just get off the boat and go do stuff. So it was $650 USD inside cabin, me and my wife. So it was great. Kind of. Since it's winter, it's very cold, and you can't really use the top of the deck and walk around because it's too cold and rainy and slippery. So everyone was kind of condensed to the rest of the ship, and that was a lot of people. So I think the best part was actually the food. It was decent because, you're traveling between Taiwan and Tokyo. Taiwanese food, delicious. Japanese food, also delicious. So you kind of had the best of both worlds. They had American food on there, and it was terrible. And I like American food, as you can see. But that did not answer your question at all. I just started talking about food and the cruise I went on recently. So how would I travel hack to Japan? Well, it depends on where I'm traveling from. If it is near a big international airport, I either look for deals. There's deals on travel websites. There's deals with frequent flyer miles, and I kind of look for the best deal, or I try to get my full value. So first, you have to look at flights. What's the best deal can you get on flights? Can you buy points or frequent flyer miles to book that flight? Can you do you have the flexibility to travel last minute if a flight deal pops up? And then you want to look for hotels. Hotels last minute, Agoda. They drop their commission. Cheapest hotels you can get. If you're going for a more premium experience, or it's going to be expensive no matter what, potentially buying hotel points for travel, it's going to save you quite a bit of money. So that's what I would do. Next one. What do you think of bucket protocol? Oh my God. So I don't like it. I don't like it. I've used it before, but the experience is so clunky. Like, I have no idea where the funds are. And the last time I used it was a few weeks ago when I was trying to do, or a few months ago when I was trying to do the airdrop. And then I think I just left it out of the video because, like, I don't know how to do this. This is too much. Oh, awesome. Hold on. But while we're here, this is why I'm so I'm bearish on big companies because all the big companies' dark secrets are being revealed from China right now. They're teaching people how to get around the tariffs. They're teaching people how to buy things without the brand name, but it's from the exact same factory. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I think this trade war was terrible for big brands, for Nike, Adidas, any luxury brand, just because like all their secrets are being revealed right now. So we're gonna check out Bucket Protocol because someone asked about that, and we're gonna take a look. I went to Twitter because like I forgot the website, so it's best to look at Twitter and find the real thing. All right, the website front end looks fantastic. I don't know if they updated everything. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, this thing again. So click to earn rewards so you can get stablecoin yield, SUI or LST yield, which actually is really high, 15%, scallop yield, and 114%. All right. So, I mean, you do get higher interest rates here, but we got to learn more. So let's see. Let's go with SUI LST yield. Deposit your SUI or LST as collateral to borrow Bucket. Stake your Bucket to activate BSR and receive SBUCK. Deposit your SBUCK into savings pool to earn SUI rewards. So I think this is why I hated using this, because you're moving from one bucket to another, and it's it's not the best experience. So let's try it on my test account here, where we can manage our risk. So, okay, let's connect our wallet. Let's try a little bit of SUI DeFi. We're going to connect this guy, and it said, all right, let's deposit one. Oh, insufficient collateral. All right, maybe not the best time to try and learn this platform, but you can earn, borrow, the dashboard, then set your position. So I don't, and then here's the farm, which is a lot. So the reason why I prefer to show people SUI Lend is because everything is on one page, whereas you kind of have to jump around here. You have to move assets to get eligible assets to deposit into the farms. I know you can get some decent yield here, but as a user, this is too much. You got all these different things. You don't know what you're earning, what the rates are. You get these drops, which are great. So do you go with it? Is that the highest you can earn? But you don't know, and it's definitely a percentage of what you're getting there. So sorry, a lot of things I'm thinking of while I'm trying to read this. Let's say $400,000 in TVL here and 2.5 million. So let's say you put $4,000, which is about 1%. So you would be earning about 1% of that 1,000 rewards. Or you put $4,000 in this pool with 2.5 million of it. You won't be earning 1% of that, because that's, you would need $44,000. So I would love it if they made this just a table where you could see all the different assets. You could get a percentage of what the drops are equivalent to. Otherwise, you could be misled. You might think like, oh, this is 20,000. I'm going to get the best deal here. You won't. It would be in the first one. So it depends on how much you're depositing, where you can get a clean table of the interest rates you'd be receiving by comparison of the TVL in there. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I don't like Bucket Protocol. I feel like they haven't reflected on the user experience here, which is why even if they have great rewards, it's very confusing to users like you. So let me know what you think. If they need to improve, we gotta tell them in a nice way, because it's just not a good user experience. You speak Taiwanese or Mandarin? No, I speak only English, man. I've been taking some classes too, trying to improve on that, but it's tough. It's so tough. Speaking English though, fantastic. It's been working out really well. 6.5 years here. I'll find out from Sid if he speaks any Chinese, because he already speaks French and English, and I feel like that's a lot. And if he added Chinese to that, we're not going to be friends, because it's too much. The weird thing is, I know a lot of people who are not Asian that live in Taiwan. They all speak Chinese, and I'm like, you guys are making me look bad in front of my wife. Explore the Move ecosystem. Do you mean Movement Labs or Move-based blockchains like Aptos, Movements, what's that? IOTA, SUI? We'll see. Let me know. Is SUI still a good future? I can't make any guarantees of that because most people in crypto are wrong. Most cryptocurrencies go to zero. But my biggest belief in crypto right now is SUI, just because it has the best user experience, it has the most development, the most innovation. It sounds pretty general, but they're doing a lot of things that you don't see from other blockchains, where they're making a better experience, better tools, better things for Web 2 users to come into Web 3. One of the big examples is the SUI Play 0x1. It's their handheld gaming device, priced competitive, priced competitively with the Steam Deck, and it's going to be the handheld that brings in Web 2 users into Web 3 gaming, potentially. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm bullish on what's happening there, and I try to dive deep into these ecosystems. I've used a lot of things that seem very generic, so I would like to use what knowledge I have to take advantage of that. But I've also gained a lot of other knowledge in the crypto space, where I know what VCs are doing now, because I've met some VCs and they were cool enough to tell me like what kind of deals they get, or if they get under the table half off OTC deals off some of these bigger blockchain tokens, where they're trying to dump OTC and they will give extreme discounts to VCs, and then those VCs dump. How marketers make money, and how these campaigns that they really have to drive up hype for the first few months after the launch, and then they kind of disappear. How market makers manipulate the market to maintain certain prices because they get massive discounts from the blockchain at a lower rate. So yeah, there's some crazy inside information that I know already, and that's why I'm bearish on a lot of things long term. Yeah. So Gabby says, what if you stake at a low commission and they increase the commission at the next epoch? Will that be bad for the staker or not because they staked at a low commission? That'll be bad for the staker. At least that's what I think happens, because I've seen that on other blockchains where you have this no-name validator charging 0%, and then at the next epoch increase to 100%, but you don't know that because you don't get any updates and you're not checking again, and then you check a few weeks later and find out, how come I didn't earn any rewards? That's because the validator screwed you. So anytime you have a validator, you want to make sure it's a brand that you recognize, that maybe you check their Twitter, you see that they provide updates, you find out their community sentiment, or you just go with something with a big brand. So I do not take any risks with validators that I don't know anymore, because I learned this the hard way from getting screwed on the commission. Then what's the future of crypto as every token goes to zero? Exactly. So that's why I'm shorting. I'm shorting a lot of projects that I think are overvalued, where they gained too much VC money, where there isn't a lot of a use case, where you don't see any activity or development there. You just see a lot of hype, and that hype always starts to die down about 3 months after their launch, and then you hit that slow decline. Regardless of a bull market or bear market, it just goes down. Because over the last year, as Bitcoin continued to pump up, we had a lot of coins with big names that kind of went to zero. We had IIN, we had all the ZK stuff, we had Manta, we had Blast, we had all these things that had all this hype, but it went to zero. It just went down. Order two. I ordered two just for me and my wife. I didn't try to get too greedy, because I remember when the pre-orders launched, you had to be early for the mythic NFTs, and then after the first 1,500 or something, you got the secondary lower tier NFTs. This was at a time when SUI was 60 cents. It went to like $1.80, then it went down to 60 cents, and you could only buy at the time the SUI Play with SUI tokens. And I was like, oh, well, if I have to buy it with crypto, I was like, all right, buy it with SUI. So that device did cost me a lot, opportunity cost, because right now it's around 240 or something. So I got 2 devices, but if I waited and ignored the NFTs, I could have had a lot more. So being early, awesome, but you miss out on those potential gains. So I should have rebought more SUI, but things were kind of shaky there. Is Scallop a good place to stake my SUI, or is SUI Land a safer option? I think they're as safe. It's really kind of hard to gauge safeness. I know the experience is better on SUI Land because it's one page, and you can do a little bit of leverage because you can borrow against it. I think on Scallop you can't do that. That's something I haven't checked in a few months. So it's kind of up to you. If you can get more interest, that's what I would focus on, because the safety is it's hard to gauge. Something can have a better reputation, but it could be less safe. I don't understand these audits, and I don't understand who's malicious on their teams. So it's really hard to gauge, which is why, if you want lower interest and stake directly to the SUI blockchain, that is the safest option. Otherwise, we take on some risk by using these DeFi platforms. Did you know Zebek Network moved to Solana? I didn't. Kind of. I remember I got into Zebek over a year ago because they had some airdrop opportunities, and I jumped in. I got no airdrops for staking on chain, so I was kind of burned by that. And then the user experience to get into there was awful. So it's an EVM chain, and you had to bridge, and then bridge again, and then lock your tokens up. And obviously, when you lock your tokens up, you have the risk of losing money, and that's what happened. So I'm glad I didn't make a video on that, but I thought, it kind of had some potential just because they had high numbers. But numbers don't really mean anything because numbers can be gamed. So, that's a lesson I learned from getting involved with Zebek Network. SUI has such good UI, UX, and yes, very motivated and passionate devs. So that is something I haven't seen on other blockchains where, the devs really like the experience, where there aren't as much hurdles. So if you can have a good developer experience, they can provide better experiences for users, and that helps grow the ecosystem. So that is something I'm looking at. What is APR? So good question. So you have 2 things. You have APR and you have APY. So let's take a look. So deposit APR, that just means that's the interest you're earning. And for you to gain APY, you would have to redeem those rewards and restake that. So anytime you have APY, you're not going to get your rewards immediately because those are going to be rolled into your investment. Anytime you have APR, that means you have to redeem your rewards and reinvest it if you want to get higher interest. So all these rewards come in real time. So, you leave it there for an hour, you're still going to get your share of that 6% in interest. You leave it there for 10 days, you're going to get your share of those 10 days. But you have to claim and restake those rewards if you want to earn more rewards. And that by doing that, you get APY. So anytime you have APY, that just means you don't have to think about it. But APR, that means there's a higher earning potential if you continue to claim and reinvest those rewards. That's true. I'm not shorting hard. I'm shorting 1x on the overvalued ones. That has helped me maintain my portfolio through the last few months, just because of what I learned. And I'm still bullish on Bitcoin and things that provide a good experience. We still kind of don't know what's going to happen. The markets could begin pumping. I'm going to continue my 1x shorts on some overvalued coins, and I'm working on a video for that just to do as a little test of interest. Like, all right, can you actually short coins in a bull market and be profitable? So yeah, that's something we're working on. Can you make a video about crypto tax? Next question. Opportunity costing about ordering the SUI Play myself. I mean, if you like a gaming handheld, that's like the Steam Deck, where you can actually play all the Steam Deck stuff. You can play everything from the Steam store and Web 2 games, and the hardware is comparable with an actual Steam Deck. I mean, it's a pretty decent deal. Yeah, I agree. If they had a Meteora style LP on SUI, I would be over there a lot more, but I actually do a lot better on Solana because of Meteora. Yeah, it's just this thing that makes it easy to provide interest from what's happening in the ecosystem. I agree with that. Hopefully, we'll see some new announcements at SUI Basecamp May 1 and 2 in Dubai. And yeah, I'm hoping to see new products, new developments, and more things happening there. All right, we got one more, and I think we'll get going soon. It's been a little more than an hour 20. Yeah, that's a good stream. We're building a project called Alpha Block AI. We're not launching any coin or anything, just fully focused on building and improving the product. I like that. Could you please check it out and share some quick feedback? It would really help us shape the project. All right, let's take a look at the project. Alpha Block AI. We're going to obviously go into Twitter. That's where all our essential research happens because everything is just there. Wow. All right. So Alpha Block AI, I believe this is it. AI-driven crypto whale tracking system. You guys paid a lot for that gold check mark. I was like, you guys got money. You guys got 5,000. Is it 5,000 a month or just 5,000 a year for the gold check mark? Because you need the organization thing. I don't know. That's you guys spent a lot. All right. Let's see. I guess we'll go to the website. Gonna have to trust you on this click here. You spent $5,000 to make this click safe. Dedicated to building the most advanced AI-powered whale tracking ecosystem, real-time alpha from the wallets that move markets, powered by AI, built for degens. We'll launch the tracker. Whale just added Motumbo. Okay. Yeah. I think there's other platforms that do something similar. Hold on. So I use GMGN if I'm going to be on chain. So again, we're looking to market insights and transactions. And I learned that there are a lot of manipulation. So I think for reference, maybe see what GMGN is doing. They provide a really good experience. You could do some copy trading. And I noticed a lot of the people that are established on there kind of manipulate those copy trades to dump on you. You have some people who are already flagged as KOLs. You can monitor wallets. You can follow people's trades. Well, this just follows what they're doing. It works on several blockchains. You can see what's been trending. You have all these filters. So, I think Alpha Block AI is awesome if you can build a better experience in GMGN because people don't like moving to new things and they like actionable insights. But obviously, if you follow these Fartcoin whales can really dump on you. I mean, $1,000 isn't really that much. But with a $2.46 million market cap, yeah. These are all very short-term trades, by the way. If you guys are looking at these, next week, a lot of these coins could disappear, maybe even an hour from now, because even whales get dumped on. I followed a lot of things happening and trending on GMGN, followed like the sniper stuff. And yeah, I got jumped on hard. So I would just be very careful. I'm glad you guys are building something. I hope you can build something that is profitable for the users because, that's the easiest thing to recommend. People want to be in crypto. People want to make money. So you also have to look at the existing products and see if you can improve on that. So I'd say use GMGN as the bar to overtake. I like the way you speak. How can I learn to speak smart like you? Just years of pain, years of painful losses in crypto. So that's how we learn. I think podcasts are good just to see like what people are talking about, how they talk about things, and that'll give you some better insights. I like the chopping block. They're on the Unchained channel on YouTube that has some of the biggest VCs in crypto, and their investments aren't doing well either, but they have excellent insights of like, okay, what works, what doesn't, what are they looking at, how do they approach things, and it helps evolve your thinking a little bit. Can you show some quick TA on Ghibli? Not really. Yeah, TA I don't really do. I don't believe in, because it works only for a small amount of times. Sometimes you have these broader market moves that are the things you should really look at, and TA really won't save you from like a tariff or something. So I know people believe in it. I personally don't. I look for the opportunities where, okay, something dumped, maybe that's a buy opportunity. Something pumped, maybe that's a sell opportunity. But for the most part, I don't believe in TA. And this is after studying it for a few years, because so many people on crypto talked about it. I was following all these different traders, and I was setting up everything the same. And I was like, after 2 years of that and being poor, I'm like, all right, this doesn't work. I don't believe in this at all. So yeah, just something to consider. Hey, I'm glad you guys were able to join and got some value out of that. I pretty much gave all my DeFi knowledge and experience. It always seems more complicated than it is, but you just have to find out like what's easy to use, how I use it, and then that'll give you the base knowledge to expand to other platforms. What do you think about Supra? Oh, I know they got a lot of money. They got a lot of VC money. They sponsor a lot of creators. Not me though. But it's a L1 that does oracles. Yeah. So let's take a look. So we have Supra, 2%, 15%. Oh man, maybe I should have shorted this one. Would there have been an opportunity there? So in the last month, 50%. Wow. So I mean, 61 million market cap, 531 fully diluted market cap, and we have about 12% of the supply. So there's going to be a lot of tokens unlocking or rewards just in general. Let's get a breakdown of this. Let's go to Twitter. And let's get an easy review. I really love the reviews from Grok. So we're going to go to Grok. So we want to have Grok explain Supra to us. It's a project working on a high-performance blockchain. Right? Everything is pretty high performance, which is super fast. Everything is pretty fast. Digital ledger or apps for transactions. It's designed to make dApps easier to build and use by combining multiple tools like data feeds, cross-chain connections, and randomness into one powerful layer 1 blockchain. Think of it as a one-stop shop for developers to create secure and efficient Web3 applications with transactions that are fast, that are up to 500,000 per second, and support for different coding languages. Their goal is to simplify and speed up the future of decentralized tech. So, price action, terrible. And we want to know why. So we take a look at their ecosystem. Is there anything we want to use there? Oh God, yeah. So first, this is a big mistake on their part. They made this an image and not clickable. Okay, here we go. So you got to go down. What? Yeah, you got to put in a little more effort to make these clickable, because I see this, I want to click into it, and now I have to look for it through all these different things. So if you're using a blockchain, you want a good experience. You want there to be something for you to build, and you want, if you are a developer, you want users. If no one's using it, no one's going to develop anything there. So let's take a look at DeFi Llama to find out what's going on. Anytime there's like a new blockchain, I'm always skeptical because it's incredibly hard to get users. It's incredibly hard to get developers to build there. So we want to see what's going on. And we can find out in DeFi Llama. Oh, that's pretty low. It's incredibly low. So I don't have a lot of hope for Supra. No, they're only following one thing, so I'm sure there's more. Because yeah, we can't take that as a TVL if they're only listing one DApp on here. I'm pretty bearish, I'll be honest with you, just because we have so many blockchains that are fast, that provide all this information. And if there aren't any users, developers don't want to build there. If there aren't any dApps that users want to use, they're not going to build there either. So I think it's over, I'll be honest, because if they spent all their money marketing and hyping it up, and they didn't spend enough money to bring in developers and make that experience good, they're not going to have enough money to continue to grow the ecosystem. Now, we do know that there's like over 80% of the token supply still locked up, so that does have some potential. But if you don't use it personally, who's going to use it? So I think that's the best thing if you are going to invest in a blockchain, to dive in, to see what the user experience is, to see what the sentiment is. People shouldn't just be hyping up the blockchain. They should be hyping up the dApps on there. Like, oh, I love playing this game. Like, oh, the experience on this is nice. Like, oh, I'm earning a massive amount on this platform, So things to consider. Our main goal is to build an AI agent powered primarily by our whale database. The AI will combine whale activity data with social metrics and technical indicators to deliver smart insights. I'd say if you can do that with some auto trading where people can follow these trusted moves where it's not just full manipulation, that would be massive. So that's the one thing lacking on GMGN. You can copy trade things, but they even tell you like, oh, if the person sold immediately after buying it, because if you're copy trading someone, they make that purchase, then 1,000 people following you also make that purchase, that pumps up the coin. So a lot of people have been manipulating it by buying and then selling 10 seconds later. So GMGN tells you about that, but if you can make a platform that provides a better experience where people can't get dumped on like that, I think it would be massive. So best of luck. We'll be following you. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. Is the bottom now? Is it the bottom right now? It's only the bottom if you believe they're going to build. If you believe they're going to continue to build and bring amazing things to the blockchain, then it's the bottom. If you don't believe in that and you don't see it, you actually have to see what they're building rather than hype, then yeah, exit, slowly exit. Get into something you believe in. So just something to consider. I know it's tough. We hold on to investments. We want to believe that they'll turn around. And in my experience, that doesn't happen. It's just more pain. So, I want to help save you from that. All right, this was great. This was 92 minutes. That's a lot. I appreciate you guys hanging out. And this has been the weekend stream. We'll stream again tomorrow in 25 hours. So we'll be walking around Taipei main station and chatting with a builder in the SUI ecosystem. I kind of want to find out how he started building, because he started up his project in December. He built up his team, and he's also going to have a booth at SUI Basecamp, in a little more than 2 weeks. So pretty exciting. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, okay, one last one. Bro, Axel versus Zero. So I think those are both bridge coins, right? I know Zero, Layer Zero, I'm kind of bearish on that. I don't know if there's enough utility. Let's see. Because, it's so weird that you can invest in these bridges, but for the most part, they don't return any value to the holders of the token. So they make their money through bridging tokens, but I don't think the holders see that. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I am wrong. Do the holders actually get anything from these bridge transactions? Does that come back in the form of buybacks? What does that look like? Because if you're just holding like a bridge token, you're hoping on continued hype. Even if there is demand, if that demand doesn't actually go back to holders or buybacks, then it's tough. Yeah, layer 0 has been out for 10 months. The price, kind of held up, but I don't think anyone's ever excited to talk about like a bridge token. So yeah, not really bearish or bullish. This is just kind of a tough one. Actually, I don't know. Layer 0, fully diluted. Oof. We still got like 85% of the supply still ready to unlock. So maybe a little bearish there. Whereas Axelar, most of it is circulating already. Let's see, Dan, if you can make a bigger dig inside Supra, get Josh, the CEO, to interview. I think the guy lives in Taiwan, or I've seen him in Taiwan a few times. I saw him at Consensus. I've seen who the CEO is. He actually had an interview on Banter during the Consensus event. Maybe Josh would be a good interview for that project, just because I already have an opinion on it and it's not positive. So I don't think I'd have positive questions that would be unbiased. So I'd love to talk to projects before I have a bias. So after looking at it, it's going to be tough. But yeah, if going to be at Token 2049, we're going to be in Dubai that week. We want to interview a bunch of people. We want to build up our content. We want to talk to people. So I don't know if you're deep in the Super ecosystem and want to set that up. I'd love to chat. I'd love to interview anybody. Well, we're gonna take this channel more seriously, hang out every day, and make some content. So let's do that. I actually don't like scheduling things. I know I probably could, but I don't like scheduling things. Maybe I'll just do like, hey, here's a link. Whoever's available, let's chat. And if they're in Taiwan, that might be even more fun just to walk around and chat with them. So I think that's it for today. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Feel free to engage with the video because that always helps. I'm trying to build up this channel, and maybe I'll take content creation a little more seriously or get a job. I don't know. This crypto thing, it's questionable. It's questionable. So I've already learned a lot in pain, and I'm going to share that with you guys and what I see in the space. So I'm glad I could help with some of this DeFi stuff. I'll probably turn that into another video just because I thought the tutorial was decent. All right, with that, I hope you got your full value for today in stream.